Welcome everyone to episode 47 of the Circle Back Podcast, the show where three great friends get together and just talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufrenoy.
Hello, I'm sorry.
And Shelby White.
How you doing?
And guys, you know how I like to start, but I'm not starting that way. I'm starting with an apology to Hades, because the game Hades by Supergiant, I was like, it's weird for a single-player game to be coming out in early access. Like usually narrative games don't come out. It's a roguelike. It's run-based.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So I right when I saw a video of it, I was like, oh, what an idiot I am. Because normally their games are very narrative-focused, linear stories, right?
That's so cool. It seems like every game they've done now. Even though I had the same issue where I said, oh, it looks just like Transistor. What's going on?
Oh no, I haven't dug into it yet because we'll talk about all the December games that are coming out, but
we'll talk.
I'm very excited to dig into it once the year is over and I've beaten some of these games. But now let's talk about what we've been playing.
Okay.
I want to hear from you first, Dan.
Me?
Yeah.
All right. What should I start with? Maybe I should start with a game that we've all played. I'm going to talk about, just get it out of the way. I finally finished Red Dead Redemption 2. Mm-hmm. Last time we talked, I was, I beat the main story, and then I was in the epilogue. And without any spoilers or anything like that, I know a lot of people are playing it still, and I don't want to ruin anything. Not that the epilogue detracted my feelings towards the game as a whole. It just kind of exacerbated my feelings for the game as a whole, where a lot of the time I just felt like it was just filling in hours, filling up time, with no... The whole game itself has beautiful moments where, the amount of hours and time that you put into it, it does pay off. I feel like a lot of times it doesn't pay off, and the epilogue, I think, just kind of proves that point. We were talking how it's like a two-part epilogue. I don't know how many missions, maybe 20, 25 missions. I'm not sure.
Too many missions.
Too many missions that maybe could have been condensed into maybe 5 missions to get to the point of what the epilogue was trying to convey, and it would have been just as good.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I agree with you, Dan, and I'm excited when we get to Game of the Year and we can talk about this a little more in depth, but... I 100% agree with you. I said that from the get-go.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like...
Yeah, you were the first to beat it, and you were like, it's a slog, and you weren't
It's rough, man. It's rough. It's way too long, and it's... it just kills me. It's tonally inconsistent.
Maybe... Yeah. But then again, and Shel, we were talking, how you were saying how, people, still playing GTA 5.
Yeah, well, what I mean, especially because, a lot of people are just finishing the campaign on this game, and the online part is already out, and people are having a blast with it, your character creation, yada, yada, yada. I haven't touched it, so I don't know much about it. But I've seen some videos where people are, running around, they see another guy, one guy will be like, oh, hey, friend, and then they get lassoed and pulled down with a horse.
Right.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But that's what it's for, they created this expansive world because of how much people are still playing GTA 5. You're talking how many years that came out,
Yeah, but what I would say is, there's a gap where it's you want to play the single player, or you want to get into the nonsense of the online, right? And it's I'm a person that won't touch online probably, and wouldn't enjoy it if I did, but I wanted that single player experience, so I would have appreciated an editor on that.
game. I was thinking about this when I beat Red Dead 2, because I was just so I was thinking about, because we're also movie guys, and I was trying to think of the distinction, because a movie, I could watch Seven Samurai every weekend, and that movie's 3.5 hours, or a Tarkovsky movie or something like that are just these long movies, and I will vouch for these movies and be like, no, it's the length is worth it, it's meant to be that long, because you really get entrenched in this world, and I'll totally support that. And then it's a weird thing why for a video game I think too long can be an issue, whereas a movie, and I don't know.
Well,
I wonder if it's just
here's the thing. When you sit down and you write a movie or whatever, the producers go over a movie, every scene needs to push the plot further. In some point, whether it's the plot, the subplot, a backstory, whatever it is, every single scene of people on screen needs to push the plot further. And that doesn't always happen in video games. Sometimes you have those missions where it's just okay, this is just something to do. Where it doesn't really push a plot, but it pushes a play point.
That's exactly right, because...
That's why it feels so much longer in games sometimes.
The thing I'll say, number one, I think there's a lot of people that would see a 3.5 hour movie and be like, it's way too fucking long. So I think it might be you know what I'm saying?
Well, for me personally, I can make the distinction and be Red Dead 2's too long.
Right.
But I could watch
Lawrence of Arabia.
No, yeah, exactly. You're like, you're back to
that's-
Chicago, and it's like this like 7-hour movie, and you're just like, yeah, no, give me more.
And that's why, but what Shelby was saying is really actually on point, because it's like, there are some moments in games where it's like, we're doing this whole section because of gameplay. And you don't have those different verbs when you're watching a movie. No. You're there for observing.
When you have those movies that add these scenes that serve no point,
right? You can point.
That's
those out,
when people pick it out, and they're like, "Oh, that was
that
stupid,"
there?
you know, like, right. And then they start nitpicking, you know, and you can get that same way with games.
Yeah,
yeah. I think as a whole, you know, the length, it does make the final chapters of Red Dead Redemption 2 a lot more weighty, but at the same time, I still think it could have benefited from, you could take out like 20 hours and just, you know, still have the same sort of, that's just me.
Still a great story.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not taking away from it. It's still one of my favorite games of the year, but it was definitely, you know, because we're getting Game of the Year time, it's still definitely not.
It's the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
I know.
It's casually Game of the Year time.
I don't know.
No, I know what you're saying.
You're
starting to.
I love it, but I have so many complicated feelings on it. You know, and not even just that. You know, with the whole Rockstar industry thing, and just I just have so many complicated feelings about this game.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah.
It's gonna. I'm just interested to talk about it with you guys.
All right. Well, we'll talk more. Yeah, I didn't mention at the top. I'll mention at the end also, but it'll just be 1 week between this and Game of the Year. It won't be the normal 2 weeks. Game of the Year will come out December 31st. This is your Christmas Eve gift, and your New Year's Eve gift will be the Game of the Year.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So Dan, I know you also had a chance when you were over at my house to play Astro Bot Rescue Mission.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I want to hear your experience.
Did you love it as much as I thought you would?
Now listen, you played through the entire first world.
First world, and that's it. That's
perfect.
That's all
right up to
I got.
Yeah,
you played through the boss and everything. Played the first world.
I made sure I got through like every bot. Everything.
Just finding everything. It's not that difficult, especially in the first one.
So tell me your experience. Just tell me how it was for you.
I forget if you said. I think it was you, Shelby. You called it when you said, you know, you could watch videos of it on YouTube. I'm sure. I know a lot of people are saying this about this game. You can watch videos of it on YouTube, but
it's not the same.
You won't realize how good it is until you actually like are in the VR headset and everything. It is amazing. It is the best of Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie. It's got these incredible platforming abilities with these amazing cartoony graphics. The music's amazing, and just the sort of like...
I remember the music in the first world.
It's so good.
Like the first level of the first world, I was like...
What did you say your name was?
Yeah!
Oh, yeah.
No, even like in the caverns where it gets like very like poignant and just, oh my gosh. Seriously, and this is a lot, and I love platformers. Truly, like one of the, if not the best, at least one of the best platforming games I've ever played ever. The controls are so tight, and I just love the world, especially the boss fight. That was so dope.
He looks cool, like, you know,
just
it's awesome.
And something about being in the headset where it just feels like you're just so immersed.
The scale of it, too.
Yeah, because you're actually, like, looking up at him when it comes up, and you're like, damn.
And I haven't played many VR games, only when I've been over your place. But already hands down the best VR experience I've ever had. I love it so much, and I would want to play more. And it's that good that I would buy a VR set just to play more of the game. It's the best of that sort of
Zelda for Switch situation.
Yeah,
you know?
I think of it like a Mario.
This game is that good.
It took what Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie is.
Well, you know I love 3D platformers, so I'm on board
and Ratchet and Clank
all the way.
Sly Cooper. It takes all that and just makes this polished, like, cohesive experience. And my favorite parts is just, like, the systems in place where, like, I don't even know if that's the correct term for it, but, like, you know, I remember in one level, you're, like, you know, you're trying to find the bots, and you can see there's maybe, like, 6 bots a mission that you got.
I think it's 8.
Yeah.
8, okay, and you can see, like...
And a cricket. Oh, not a cricket, a chameleon.
Chameleon. And, like, you know, you catch one, and then you see on your thing, oh, I missed the third one or whatever.
Yeah.
So I got to a point where I was like, where the heck is it? And, like, I turn around, and all the way back, I see, like, this brick wall with, like, a little, like, blue light. And, like, I would have, like, that's crazy to me. Yeah. Like, you can just turn around and see what's going on behind you.
That's exactly
and there was
why.
A bot, and you're like, oh.
There's so many times in later levels where you won't get them unless you turn around. Yeah. Like, you need to turn around.
Or even when, like, an enemy will, like, crash into your screen, the screen, like, cracks. And, like, that
I think you have to, like, headbutt sometimes.
Yeah.
It is just so... The design of this game, like, the way... Because they make these micro levels, pretty much, you know, if you run through... it's a minute and a half, 2 minutes per level. Later on, they get a little bit longer. But because they make these micro levels, the level of detail that they put into, like, okay, around this corner, you're going to have to look a certain way, like, do a certain thing. Like, it's just such brilliant design.
But that's what it is. It's all you controlling.
Oh, it is impeccable.
Did you have to get up and walk at any point, or, like, look? There was. I remember one point in World 1, I think I said it on the last one, too, and I, like, had to get up and look around the corner because I couldn't see where he was going.
I know exactly that part you're talking
about. And like the cranes and stuff like that.
Yes, and you have to, when you have to shoot the plane, you have to.
Yes,
okay. So like that same area, and you got to like get your guy here, but
and you just don't see the platform.
You just got to go like.
Yeah, just look around. It's great.
It really is fantastic, and when it comes to platforming, like you said, reminiscent of a Ratchet and Clank or a Spyro or something.
I was immediately off Super Mario 64. I was like, this is. Similar
it's like,
that,
and it perfects it like so much. And I absolutely
just because like that was your first experience with the 3D platform on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then your first time in VR, and then you go into this game, and you're like,
it's that good.
At the top.
It's that, and again, I've only played one world, so I'm always weary when I say like it's my favorite game, and I have this thing inside me where I'm like, well, I can't say that unless I beat it. You know what I mean? So like, but having said that. If someone said to me, Astrobot Rescue Mission is the best game of 2018, or like the best platformer ever, I honestly wouldn't like be like.
You'd be like, let me finish it, and.
But I'd be like, oh, like, I can see that.
See that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's that. It's that
a tremendous game. I'm glad you had a chance to play it before Game of the Year because it's definitely up there for me. Yeah, I know you finished another game that I would say is up there for me on Game of the Year.
I was talking about myself the whole time.
Listen, I want to get through these
yes,
because I have a bunch of new games.
It's a gaming podcast. Start talking about games.
We talking about video games on this podcast.
So what else you finished?
I beat Wander Song finally.
Nice,
Shelby.
That's my name.
So I already love this game, and I don't know what happens. Sometimes it just happens where like you're playing so many games and you just
it gets lost in the shuffle.
I was going to school and you just don't get to. It's a bit of a long game, and there are times where it just same.
That's my one complaint. It's a little bit longer than it needs to be. If it was about 3 hours less, 4 hours less, I think it would be such a perfect package.
Oh my gosh.
Is it a repetitious game? Like from the outside it seems like a game where you kind of go to the village, do the same sort of stuff.
No, each new place it has totally unique ideas.
Yeah.
Ideas and
like when you say it's long, I feel the first thing in my head is like, oh, is it like a repetitious kind of like?
No,
I've done
not like that.
It's
more repetitious in the way that you're trying to get from point A to point B, and there's like all this really really interesting stuff in between. But like that when you get towards the end, they kind of like drag that out.
Okay.
There's not really bosses, but I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But getting to, there's these people called overseers that you ultimately want to get to save the world, kind of, in a nutshell. But, like, those sequences are kind of, like, extremely drawn out, where I feel like those could have been condensed to get to the, to the next world and to the next world.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, holy moly, I was probably only 3 hours away from beating it anyway. The game itself, for anybody that's playing it, I'd say first few hours... you're going to kind of be like, oh, this is cute, this is whimsical, like, I don't, but it's nice.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point where, so it's this little bard who wants to save the world's ending, and he I want to save the world, and be the hero, and everybody kind of laughs at him, nobody believes in him. So for the first few hours, you're just kind of going along, but it gets to this point where he starts to, like, doubt himself, and he starts to question, like, everything. And that's when just like this whole game opens up for me, and it's just so incredible. And those 3 hours that I had left, where you're getting to the end, where the world's about to end, and all this stuff, and he kind of like contemplates all his like connections and all his relationships and everything like that. Oh my God! Like some of the like Night of the Woods level writing of
no doubt about it,
of this like deeply intense, personal, like really like human moments in a very cartoon, construction paper world, and I love that. And we talked about this last episode about Celeste, how it's got that sort of like cutesy, cartoonish vibe, but underneath this like really solid, deep themes. Wander Song has the same exact thing, where on the surface you can just look at it and kind of like laugh and and you just this is kind of silly, but then you get to like the dialogue, and it's so It's incredible. It's so extremely well written, and I love it very, very much. And I got to the end. Can't wait for next week when I can really just say what happened, what goes in. But the ending.
Next week's gonna be a long podcast, boys and girls.
I was worried that the ending, because how do you end, a game this sort of scope? How do you end something like that? And I was nervous. I was like, oh, how are they gonna end it? I hope they end it well. They end it perfectly. It's perfect the way that they ended. I wouldn't have changed anything about it.
Yeah.
Now you said you had 3 hours left on how long?
12, probably.
12. That's good.
Am I wrong about that?
That's decent.
Yeah, I feel like it was longer, but
I think it's about 12.
People say like 12.
That's my guess.
Like 14
12 to 15.
Like that. There's 7 chapters, and then like a little epilogue, but that's done during the credits, so it's not much. But seriously, even the epilogue, like that is like it's just perfect.
It's a beautiful game, and you hit the nail on the head. It's the writing that carries it. It's this year's Night in the Woods, in my opinion. Right?
Yeah.
Where it's like it feels like it has the heart, and I feel like this game and Celeste are like partners in like bringing real stories that actually want to say something and change the status quo of what games are. Mm-hmm. That's what those two games are doing, and I think Night in the Woods was kind of our little appetizer from last year, and now it's like, oh my god, now more people are doing the same thing.
Right, it's got that DNA in it.
Yeah, and it's fucking awesome. It's such a great game.
And it makes me very, very happy.
I'm glad you got through it.
Yeah, no, me too. So, yeah, those are...
Cool.
What'd you play that on?
Switch.
Oh, nice.
It's only on Switch and PC right now, I believe.
I wish WanderSong got more love because, you see all, Celeste is getting nice buzz, a lot of games like The Messenger.
And it was a 2018 game?
2018, yeah.
It just came out a few months ago.
Even Florence is getting a nice buzz. I wish
October,
WanderSong got a little bit
more. A nice buzz. I mean, it won one of the categories.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
But that's why we're saying WanderSong kind of is like the one that left behind a little bit. I don't really know why. It might just be a marketing thing. I don't know. But I've definitely heard certain people talk about it, but certainly not on the same level of like a Obra Dinn or a...
You always have those hidden gems. So.
Celeste.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's why people like us are here to talk about
That's right.
We got you covered.
All right, so let's talk about Super Smash. I know all three of us have been playing it. We talked a little bit about it last week. I talked about the World of Light mode a little bit. Shelby got it.
I love the World of Light mode.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
I think I got it like a few days after, just because I was sitting at home, and that's one game where like I could play with a couple of people, and then, my friend Mike was gonna come over, and I was like, oh, let's play Smash, man. Mm-hmm. I was like, bring some Switch controllers. My sister likes playing Smash. My brother likes playing Smash. So I was like, let's get it. So I bought it. Started playing it and didn't really do just like the World of Light thing just yet, and we were just having fun playing with a couple of people, unlocking characters every couple of things, and it's just so much fun to play. Like I'm not good at Smash. I will downright say it, but I have a blast playing it, and just trying to learn different characters. And if you are somebody who wants to learn how to be really good with a character, you don't have a better selection than this game right now. You know? I mean, you have to unlock them, but
everyone's here.
Yeah. But then I got into World of Light, and it's
what is World of Light? I don't know.
So World of Light is like their adventure mode sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Like your single player to go through, and it's great. I mean,
it's really cool.
I'm only about a quarter of the way through it. I think they give you a world map so you can kind of see, but it's great. Like it switches it up. So you start as
Kirby,
yeah, that's right. You start as Kirby, and they give you this whole intro and everything where everybody gets trapped in light, which was hysterical. My favorite one was Snake, where like they're coming by and they're like whatever this light is, I forgot what it's called, comes by and like snatches.
It's like a light monster, pretty much.
Yeah,
right?
like it's just like this weird thing in the sky, and it snatches up all of the fighting characters, and it's like you see Zelda go to like protect herself, get snatched, and then all of a sudden it just like. You just see a box sitting on the ground, and he gets snatched, and I was like, awesome. That was great. That was funny. But then Kirby's the only one left. He kind of like gets hit, flies away, and so you start as him, and then almost like Mario World, where you go to the next little circle dot, and it's like everyone's a different fight, but there's something about the fight that makes it different, which I really like. And I didn't fully understand it when Dan was explaining it, but
it's hard to explain if you don't know what you're
But when he was explaining it perfectly, especially when he was telling you like this character is not in the game, but their essence is played through another character, you're absolutely right. And it's really cool, and I'm trying to think of a perfect example, but
I used the Spectre Knight example because it was easy, where it's like
early one,
like I said, you're playing on the Castlevania stage. You're playing against Belmont, and he has a Reaper Scythe. Yeah. And it's like, you're fighting Spectre Knight, but it's not Spectre Knight, but they just do such an interesting job.
They take whatever's in the game to make it seem like that. Cool. Oh, one of them, you're fighting Sonic, but in the essence of Metal Sonic, who's not a playable character. So what do? They give Sonic the metal, yeah. Like he's a Metal Sonic, and then they give him like the rocket booster pack that makes him fly around because that's what makes Metal Sonic.
But you can't like that for the game. Like you can't like play. Like,
well, they're items.
Those are like items in the
game,
game, you know. So like you can be Metal.
Yeah.
Like any character can be Metal, and any character can get this rocket booster, but he's that the whole time because he's the essence of
I'm curious, Metal Sonic. Do you unlock? I remember. I think Brawl was this way, where you do that like the story, and then like you unlock the characters that you unlock in the game, or is that like possible? So you're doing light mode.
So when you go through the World of Light, like you
sometimes
sometimes you get to like a certain circle that has an icon on it that. If you beat them, you unlock them, and you could use them.
You can use them in World of Light now, and it unlocks them in the game. Gotcha. Yeah, if you already have them unlocked in the game, then they're unlocked. Yeah. Or if you unlock them in the main mode, they're not unlocked in World of Light. But I just thought of another one. I went against, I think it was Chun-Li, and it was Bayonetta, but she was only doing kicks.
You can play Chun-Li?
Yes, and she was
only kicking, doing a bunch of different kicks.
Gotcha.
And then you have
that's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. That's pretty cool.
They have like the three thing like attack beats.
Yeah, it's a rock paper scissors mode, and like your spirits, depending on what spirits you choose, they have a certain specialty. So it'll be like, you know, oh, this is a trick or whatever.
Having block is better than being an attack person.
It's rock paper scissors.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
it just
pick
goes
the weakness of each character, and it'll help you.
And then there's like a neutral one too.
Yeah.
And then you can power them up. You can get more powerful ones, and it's a cool little almost RPG-ish feel to Smash Bros. You know, so like it's fun, and to go into these battles where you're like, oh, what's going to be the essence of this one, or like what's going to be the secret. I think one of them you fight somebody who has the essence of Snorlax, and he just sits there, and he's huge, and he doesn't do anything, but you have to beat him in like a certain amount of time. So you have to like hit him as fast as you can because you only have a minute to beat him.
That's really cool.
The thing that I'll say is like the reason I like Smash is it's all the characters together. It's all the different stages, music, items from different things. Who's in the assist trophies? Like it's like a love letter to all these different games, right? And the World of Light is that to the umpteenth degree, where it's just like it loves games, and it's bringing in all these characters in the only way it can by just being like, you know, here they are. Here's this little version, you know. How cool is it? Bayonetta will only do her kicking moves because she's Chun-Li. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so cool. The love and detail put into this.
That's awesome.
And it's perfect for this game because that's what this game is. You know what I mean? Like, it's meant for you to play and just be like, I just love seeing all these characters together and whatever. It's really neat.
Waluigi was in the game.
Yeah, he's in it. He's an assist trophy.
Yeah, he like came out. I got him as like one of those specials where like he comes out and they help fight for you.
Yeah, that's the assist trophy.
How come he doesn't get any love, Waluigi? He needs to be a playable character.
He was kicking my ass when he was doing it. I'll tell you that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So I have been playing. So there are 4 new games that have come out in December that are all incredible.
Late bloomers.
Really, really good games. Like I don't know when people decided that it's okay to release games in December that are really good. Usually that's where all the trash games go. December and January, but not anymore. Doesn't matter, apparently.
Like garbage touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. Before I get into those 4, though, I just want to briefly say I've been playing... playing Artifact kind of re-sparked my interest in Magic the Gathering, right? And they have a online Magic the Gathering arena.
Ooh.
And it's literally just Magic, like the game, but it has really, really good trappings around it where, like, you know, when you first download the game, it's free. They give you 5 decks that are pre-made to play with, and then you collect packs by doing different challenges and stuff. Like, it is literally the antithesis of Artifact's trappings that are, like, shitty and money. You know what I mean? Like, this game is like, we're just going to give you everything,
That's
just
awesome.
play. You know? So I've been actually really, really enjoing that because it turns out that card game that people really like for the last 20 plus years is actually a really good card game. So been playing that. But the 4 that I'm talking about are Ashen, Below, Gris, and Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden.
Oh, have you started playing that?
Yeah.
I remember watching a trailer with you about that.
It's all right. So I'm gonna start with Ashen.
Okay.
I talked a little bit about Ashen last week because it came out on the Game Awards night. Mm-hmm. We recorded the next morning, I think.
You said it was free on Game Pass or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's free. So actually, 3 out of these 4 games are free on Game Pass.
Oh, really?
Which is absurd.
Wait, that's awesome.
Yes,
amazing.
Microsoft. I cannot wait for the next generation because they're gonna whoop Sony's ass because they have so many good ideas and they just screwed themselves with what happened in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because Game Pass is fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
It's ridiculously good. So Ashen is by a studio named A44 or A44. I don't think they've ever made anything before. If they have, I don't know about it.
It's like the movie studio A24.
Hey, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. And it was released by Annapurna, who put out Donut County and Florence.
I knew it had something to do with
So they put out Donut County, Florence, and Ashen all in the same year. That's pretty good. So Ashen, last episode when I talked about it, I was a little, we'll see. You know, it's very much going for the Dark Souls thing. Feels just like Dark Souls. It has a really cool art style, like very flat, cel shaded, but it plays a lot like Dark Souls. I was like, we'll see. I don't know. It is a superb game, like really, really great game because I call it Hopeful Souls because Dark Souls is like always being like nothing good is ever going to happen. This is just a terrible like
it's Dark Souls,
despair.
But it doesn't say prepare to die on the cover.
So the funny thing about Ashen is it has some really dark moments, and so I'll give you the overarching story. It's like it has a very Dark Souls inspired intro where it's like, and this man was one of the 3, and he has to free the world from the they do this whole thing.
And you're in a prison,
and it's all like crazy, and then basically what happens is there's this creature called the Ashen.
Okay.
And it was this giant bird creature, and the world was in darkness. And when the Ashen died, it sprung out light. So now there's like literally the world was dark. Like people needed lanterns everywhere they went. There was no sun, nothing. So now there's still no sun, but the Ashen is this giant like world-sized creature. That skeleton is now like you can see it from like almost anywhere on the map, and it's just bright white, and it's putting off this light that now lights the world, right? So your job basically is there are 3. They talk about these people, I forget how many or whatever, but there are these certain people that are like shrouded in darkness. They want to like get rid of the Ashen, like make the world dark again, like whatever. And you are basically part of this small conclave that's like trying to get rid of those people so that we can keep the world in light, right? The thing that this game does that I love and adore, number one, it's Dark Souls, but it's much less RPG-ish.
Okay.
There's no stats. You get multiple weapons that have like damage counters and stuff, but it's very few. When you get armor, it's a full outfit. It's not like different pieces you're piecing together. So it's like streamlined Dark Souls pretty much, but where it comes in is every time you complete a mission, it'll be like, oh, plus 15 to your max HP. And it won't like tell you that's the reward or something, but it'll just be like you do a mission, plus 15 to max HP. You do another mission, plus 12 to stamina, max stamina. So you're doing the missions and getting stronger and stronger.
Gotcha.
And it literally has a mission log. Like, here are the quest givers. You go talk to them. They tell you to go do something. Go out. You do it. You come back. You complete the mission. It, upgrades whatever it upgrades. But what it does that is my favorite thing about this game is your little enclave, like I said, is like you're building up a town. Like you're starting a new town. And every time you go out and do a mission, you'll like certain missions, like you find a new townsperson. And they're a unique character with unique personality. Yeah, I'll come over. And you come back, and the town is actually...
That's my favorite part.
But the town is actually built up. Like, it's being built around you. Like, you'll see people working while you're in there, and then you'll go out, and next time you come back from a mission, there's like actually a structure. Wow. And like they're building these buildings, and like I'm right near the end right now, and like it's completed buildings, like all these completed buildings that started at nothing.
That's awesome.
I probably have played for maybe 20 hours, something like that.
Okay.
20 to 30. But
bad for a free game.
Yeah. So it's $35 without Game Pass, I believe. Yeah. But it is just, as you get to know these characters, the thing I should also mention is it's co-op all the time, unless you choose otherwise. So it's either a random person online will jump into your game and they basically take over an NPC.
Okay.
So like in a normal, if nobody is in your game, one of your townspeople, like the person you're doing the mission for, will be like running along with you.
And that's someone else playing.
Not always.
Oh, okay.
It's either the NPC, actually the NPC, and they are helping you fight and whatever, or it's somebody that's embodying that NPC and playing. This is why I'm saying it's hopeful Souls, because it's like you're building this town, you're always like co-op. It's like hey, we all need to be in this together. And it's so cool because it's every single game that tries to ape Dark Souls apes that style of darkness and despair, right? So this game is like, yeah, we love Dark Souls very clearly, but we're doing a little something different. Now, like I said, that's not to say when you go into the dungeons in this game, like they're scary. They're like dark, and there's demons and like jumping on you. Like it's
spiders, like Quelaag.
Oh yeah, there's some spiders, but
always spiders.
Yeah,
always spiders. I know.
But
not all spiders are bad.
That's true.
Lucas's Spider? You ever watched Lucas's Spider?
No, I never watched Lucas.
Oh my gosh.
Those little 40,
is that the really furry one?
40-second clips on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
It's the cutest.
Anyway.
Anyway, so I really, really enjoy this game. The boss battles are really, really interesting. And it has that Dark Souls thing of the tension between like save points, like bonfires, pretty much. We're like, oh, I just want to get there. Like I'm low, I don't have any more of my flask. Like there, whatever, you know what I mean? Like it has an Estus flask equivalent. It's called your Crimson Gourd.
Your weapons are like, are you starting like sword and shield? Or
so yes,
two-handed weapon.
You have 2 slots for weapons, actually 3, because one is sword and shield. Mm-hmm. And then another is a 2-handed. So you just hit right on the D-pad and you'll switch to the 2-handed. And then you have a spear that you can stab with or you can throw.
Okay, I was going to say if you have a projectile.
Yeah. And you always have all 3 of those. It's not like you're choosing a build or something. Like you're doing, like there are different unique attack animations for each weapon. Not each, but like there's probably 3 or 4 different unique attack animations depending on what weapon you're using. So like I have this cudgel and a shield, right? So I have like kind of longer thrust where if I have like a battle axe, I can like swing it back and forth pretty quickly. It's just a fantastic game, and there's a overarching narrative in the games that I'm talking about. 2 of the games that I'm talking about that are, we put too much like critics and people that want to take games a little more seriously put way too much emphasis on polish, in my opinion. And a game like Ashen and Mutant Year Zero have bugs. They've crashed. Like, I've had sound bugs in Ashen. I've had bugs where NPCs, don't come over to the door. You need 2 people to open a door, and they won't come over, and you have to, like, mess with it and figure it out. And it's buggy, but it's trying something, and it's doing something really unique. And that's, like, I will always prefer that. Like, I feel like even if you didn't like God of War, right? Let's just say.
Okay.
You were like, that game's a 9 out of 10. Because it's so polished, it's doing everything it wants to do, right? And it's like, dude, you didn't fucking like it. Just give it a 5 if you don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have this thing where it's like,
well, it's technically brilliant.
And this game and Mutant Year Zero, people are underrating because they're like, it's buggy, it has some things where it's broken. It's like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Like, why is that what the sticking point
Well, that's just
is?
like the different, like, I feel like there is that sort of divide.
Yes.
Between, people where it's just like some people are more, like Red Dead, wow, look at that, and look at this, it's beautiful, and this is polished.
I've never been one.
Look at the water,
by the bugginess and stuff like that.
But what I want to get at with this is, this game has bugs, and sometimes they can be frustrating, no doubt about it. But the game that they built around it, the fact that an indie studio made this.
That's cool.
It's fucking cool. And it's a really, really good game with a unique little twist. Some of the best things that this game does is its visuals, because it knows, you know how Dark Souls, some of the vistas in Dark Souls are like, wow. Like when you first go to Anor Londo and you see that castle,
you're like,
and everything you've ever seen was like dark and muddy, and then you go to this pristine castle in the distance, you're like, holy shit. Like this game has moments like that, and it's really fucking cool. I really like Ashen, and I'm telling you, the little surprises that it does to the player, like, you know, surprising NPCs or moments where, like, you know, something happened, like something. I'll just give you a small example. Like, I'm just walking through this new area. I'm like going slow, looking around, and this big. It looks almost like a manta ray with like horns, flies like right over my head in the air, like just flying in the air, and it's huge. And I had no idea what it was. I'm like, do I attack? Like, what was it? And then you just see it flying in the distance. Like, it's just part of the world. Like, in this world, there are these creatures that do this. They're called, like, diasporas or something. And it's just, like, really fucking cool. You know, like, they're doing their own thing, and they take that Dark Souls formula to a T.
That's cool.
But it's really fucking good. So that's Ashen. It's available on Xbox One on Game Pass for free. And it's on the only place you can get it on PC is the Epic Game Store.
Gotcha. Yeah, a little competition for Steam.
Yeah, that should be interesting. But the other one that I had mentioned a couple times now is Mutant Year Zero: Road to Eden. Terrible title, absolutely terrible title. This game it couldn't really be more different than Ashen, but like I said, it has that same narrative of. This game's buggy. Like, it crashed multiple times. Like, it doesn't have the most polish to it. But what it is so the story is you start out the game as two mutants. One of them is half pig. It's like an anthropomorphic boar, pretty much. And then there's one that's a duck. Anthropomorphized duck, right? So they are literally self-described mutants, and they have no idea what the reason this game is great is they don't know shit about what happened before. Like, they don't know anything. So
like an apocalyptic world.
Yeah, so it's a post-apocalyptic world where you live in this place called the Ark. The Ark is like this built-up, like, metal structure that have all these different, like, buildings and stuff built into it. And it's, like, in the middle of nowhere, just, like, built up in the sky. And it's basically, there's this one guy called the Elder, which they call them elders because they were alive before the apocalypse came, right? So this one guy, the Elder, is where you know everything from. You didn't know anything before this because you're a mutant. You don't really know why you're a mutant. You don't know where you came from, but you are just part of this world, and you're something called a stalker. And stalkers are people that the Elder secretly sends out into, I think it's called the Void? I don't remember. But there's this area, like, basically, nobody leaves the Ark except the stalkers.
This sounds like freaking Stalker by Andrei Tarkovsky.
It's totally, I mean, they...
You just mentioned Tarkovsky before.
No, but
That's
it is.
What it sounds like.
No, but it is. Like, these people, they're Swedish. They love Tarkovsky. They love Stalker. It borrows heavily from it. But it's really cool what they're doing.
That mixed with Ninja Turtles.
But so the stalkers are the only people that are allowed to leave. Everyone else stays on the Ark.
I'm already super interested.
So what else is going to get you interested is it has one of the best soundtracks of the year because it's like synthy 80s, like really, really heavy synths, like cool as hell.
John Carpenter-ish. Like.
Really John Carpenter inspired.
Oh, man, you got it.
So you're stalkers, and you go out, and there are these creatures called ghouls. The ghouls are basically, they live in the void, or I don't remember. It might not be called the void. I forget what it's called. But the whole area outside the Ark, that's where the zone, that's what it's called.
It's
Stalker. I know. Yeah. It's Stalker. So
The Roadside Picnic was the book that we took it from.
Yeah.
But that's crazy.
So the stalkers are the only ones that go into the zone, and they find ghouls that are they're basically like they look humanoid, but they're all, deformed and messed up from the radiation or whatever. So basically what you're doing is this main scientist that lived on the Ark went out because he thought he discovered Eden, right? He said there's a place where mutants and humans still live, coexist, and I know where it is. He's like the smartest scientist they have. And he said, I'm going to go find it. His name's Hammond. And so he leaves and then never reports back. And so you have to go out. The elder's like, we really need him because he's the only one that can keep the Ark running. Like, we don't know that much about what we're doing here. So you leave, and it's Borman and ducks. Borman is the boar and ducks is the duck. And you guys leave, and you're on your mission to find Hammond. So you're following this breadcrumb trail, and you pick up some new party members along the way. The game itself, so the story is really compelling, and they do such a good job at setting up all this stuff right away. It reminds me of Darkest Dungeon in that the cutscenes are kind of like art panels,
okay,
like and then dialogue over it, and so that's kind of like the overarching story. But the gameplay is a mix between
strategic, right?
It's like XCOM strategy,
okay,
but it has stealth elements, and it's really, really cool the way they do this. So when you're out in the zone, it's isometric, similar to XCOM, and you have full control over, like, free roam. You can walk around, do whatever, and if you hit B, you go into stealth mode, and you walk slower, you turn your flashlight off. It's basically you're one party member, the rest just follow behind. So when you're in stealth mode, you can explore, because each level is like a discrete little area that has like hidden scrap and like other things that you use to upgrade things. But what you're doing is by sneaking, you are trying to find the enemies before they find you. So usually they'll be like standing in a circle, like talking about something, ambient dialogue, whatever. And if you just run right into them, they get the first turn. If you sneak, you can get into like good positioning. You have silent weapons. So you have a main weapon and a silent, like, secondary weapon. And if you find somebody that's on their own and you can kill them in one turn with your silent weapons, the combat's over, that person's dead. So you can, like, kind of pick people off.
Gotcha.
Because the game is super fucking hard and you need to be strategic in what you're doing. But it's just such a cool little wrinkle that you can, like, turn the tides of the fight based on your little tactics outside of the battle, like pre-battle. And then when you get into the battle, it's very, very similar to XCOM, except for it's Rabbids, like in you have 100% to hit, 75 to hit, 50 to hit, 25 to hit, 0. There's no like 68% or whatever. There's high cover, low cover. You played XCOM, right?
Okay, yeah, the second one.
Very similar in that way. You have a certain amount of hit points, but the thing that this game does that's interesting is it has like mutations. So when you level your stalkers up, you basically put points into the skill tree, but they're actual mutations. So like the first mutation for Ducks is he can fly up in the air for one turn. So you can get a vantage point on somebody that's either behind cover, or if somebody's up on a ledge and they have high ground, you fly up and now you can shoot down on them. And then once you get 3 kills, that replenishes. So it's like kill based. Gotcha. And all right, now I can use my ability again. Borman has like a hog rush, it's called, where you just like charge into somebody, knock them on the ground, they're knocked out for a turn. So it's really excellent, like, turn-based strategy with this little wrinkle of stealth. And I like the turn-based strategy games anyway, so I was already going to love it.
Right.
But when you factor in how awesome this story is and how really, really interesting the whole world and narrative is, some cool twists along the way, some interesting characters you find.
Have you completed it?
I beat it, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Okay.
Yeah. I love this game. I think it's excellent. Again, super buggy. I've had it crash. I've had bugs where I've had to reload a save. Like, It's not that polished. It's made by a small studio, a Swedish studio, and it's just an amazing game.
What platform can you play it on?
So it's free on Game Pass if you get Xbox, and I believe it's on PC as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah. This one as well, I think it's between $30 and $40. But again, if you have Game Pass, it's free.
That's awesome.
So
that sounds amazing.
That was Mutant Year Zero: Road to Eden. Again, terrible title. But I mean, it conveys what it's about, and it makes sense in the story. But it's like, come on.
It's a mouthful.
Listen to these other 3 games: Ashen, Below, and Gris. Those are good titles.
Easy, one and done.
All right, Dan. Let's talk about Gris.
Let's talk about it.
That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it Gris.
Yeah.
It could be Grease.
No, you're right though. A lot of reviewers have been calling it Gris.
Let's call it Gris.
I don't think it's Grease. There's already a famous
Grease Lightning. That's actually what this game's based on.
Oh yeah.
Another movie stolen.
So,
stolen.
Gris is a 2D side-scrolling platformer by Nomada Studio. I believe it's only on Switch right now.
I played it on Switch.
It might be on Switch and Steam.
I don't know if it's on any other platform.
I did see it on Switch. I know.
But I think it's $17, $20, something like that.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know.
I think it's 20 and you get 10% off.
I was gonna say it was either
I got like a
15
sale.
A lot of games.
It was on sale like as pre-order.
A lot of games day one are so does Steam as well.
Yeah,
Steam as well. Yeah. Well, they've been
Steam
doing
and
sales
Switch.
just with the holiday season. They've had a lot of stuff on sale.
Yeah,
I've seen.
But they always most games the day that they launch they have 10% off or something like that just to try to entice you. So Nomada Studio, this is their first game. It is only on Switch and Steam, and this game is the overall story is a woman dealing with grief.
Yes.
Right? That's the whole idea of the game. But it's
trying to find her voice within.
Yeah. Exactly.
Extremely artistic.
So it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. I could definitely say that, right? You would say that?
Oh my gosh,
one of the most beautiful games you ever played. I think the music is incredible. So let's just say I like this game. I don't know how you feel about it.
I love this game. I think it's a hell of a game.
So
I'm ready to get the fist.
One like, one love.
Yeah. So my whole thing with this game is, I think in a year where Wandersong and Celeste came out, I think this game felt a little hollow. It felt like all style, no substance, because it was all driven down with a hammer fist, you know what I mean? Like it was ham-fisted, everything that they were doing, and I think it did its job well. The music plays into this game beautifully. The way the art looks and the different little cutscenes, like with the hand-drawn art, like it's beautiful, it's amazing. And it gets its point across, but that's all it does, for me, in my opinion. It doesn't have, like, I expect this game to be, the way it looks and the way it feels, it's invoking games like Journey.
Well, that's why I felt like it was Fantastic Planet or Yellow Submarine, like that style, meets like Journey. That's sort of like,
but it didn't
combination
for me. Like the ending was emotional. I definitely shed a tear or two, but it didn't have that profound feeling like Journey did, in my opinion.
I mean, I shed 3 tears, so I think I did like it a little bit more than you did.
What I'm saying is, and this is obviously up for debate because I think a lot of people are mixed on it too. It feels like there's nothing, like everything you're getting from the metaphors and the symbolism that's surrounding this game, because it's told in this fantastical world where, you know, it's not realistic, and it's you know, symbolically this woman going through the journey more than literally.
Right.
But you get exactly what they're telling you. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing deeper.
True, but at the same time, so like when I think we look at games like, you know, we've talked about a lot this episode, but I'm going to keep talking about them. Night in the Woods, Celeste, Wandersong, they're trying to deal with these, you know, the same themes, and maybe a little bit more than Gris is, where, you know, it's that sort of like, you know, grief and kind of overcoming and trying to find your voice and, you know,
So what you're saying though is this game has everything on the surface. You're getting what you.
That's what I'm saying. It's doing what it's doing, like perfectly, and it does it well.
Yeah.
But there's no depth to it.
Whereas,
in my opinion, there's no emotional depth. There's nothing. It's just it is what it is. It's one note, and it does it well.
See, I disagree in that. I will say what Celeste and Wandersong did this year. I don't want to say that they had more heart, but there was just this like feeling of like warmth, kind of like playing these games, and I think a lot of that was because of the dialogue. Those games are a lot more dialogue.
This game doesn't have any dialogue.
This game has zero dialogue. Having said that, though, in the way that Celeste, as the stages progress over certain themes, let's just say a theme was jealousy.
Story that's not on the surface.
Right.
You get to discover all of this stuff.
Yes.
Whereas without dialogue and with everything kind of flat out for you, that's.
But at the same time, though, I think the way that I liked it in the fact that Journey, depending on there's that feeling of despair when you're in the snow and you're just trudging through the snow. It's been long enough. I feel like I can spoil.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like Gris, was that same vein where the moments where there was these sort of revelations happening, the atmosphere for me at least, and the gameplay kind of mimic that enough where that I felt that the feeling that they were trying to convey where okay, she's trying to start to accept. I feel like it followed very much
it does.
The way that Majora's Mask followed the Kubler-Ross theory of grief where
this
each
is the
level
5 stages,
right. So I feel like
it is. I mean, it clearly is. Did you find any of the statues? They're
exactly.
It literally says 4.
Right.
It's depression or whatever. Yeah.
I feel like.
So they were going for that. Then.
Right.
I
feel like it did a good job where the gameplay and the atmosphere resonated enough with the themes where I was like, okay, I get what you're saying. Having said that, as much as I love this game, it didn't have the emotional punch that Celeste and Wandersong did for me, and that's because those games are dialogue heavy, and there was a lot of just really real moments that I can trace back to actual real conversations I've had with real people, where you're just like, oh man, that's a real feeling.
Now, but this is where, and I agree with you 100% on what you're saying right now, but where I think you can't blame the presentation on it when you have something like Journey, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because Journey does not have any dialogue. Journey is very similar in that it has its highs and lows, it has its, you're kind of going through something, you're experiencing this journey, and it has the staying power. I played Gris and I was like, it's beautiful. I'm just not getting that much out of it. It's a good story. Florence, perfect example. Florence. That game did so much more for me as a experience.
Okay.
Because it had it's not about the layers of specific dialogue and narrative. It's more about does it have different levels of emotion, you know what I mean? And Gris was despair and triumph at the end, right?
Yeah, but I disagree personally. I feel like even no spoilers, I guess that whole there's an area where you make friends with a little guy and all that stuff. I really felt like that was heartfelt, and I did really enjoy the But that's just my opinion. The feelings I got from Journey, though I do think Journey's a better game, I think Journey and Gris, those sort of feelings, saying a lot without dialogue, which was a great juxtaposition to the 2 big games for me this year, Wandersong and Celeste, where, it's very dialogue heavy. I feel like the studio did a very, very good job at creating this world and creating this gameplay that made me feel like, okay, this is what they're going for, and I get that, I feel that.
I completely agree, because I think they did exactly what they wanted to do, and they executed it perfectly. It's a great game. I come across I don't like this game. It's great.
Yeah.
It just left me a little emptier than other games that do similar things for me.
Well, no, I agree with that.
And that's not an indictment of the game, because the game is great and it's beautiful and it does what it's doing well. It doesn't have the thing, you know what I mean? It doesn't have the
It's coming at the end of a year where indie games have.
And I think maybe that's the problem. I think seriously,
yeah,
just playing Wandersong, just beating it.
Yeah.
you're punched in the gut, and you're like, oh my god, this doesn't have that. But having said that, I still don't think that takes away from the fact that I think what they're doing is extremely incredible.
Yes. And I love what they've done, and I think it's a great game. Like I said, on a personal note, it leaves me a little hollow.
Okay.
And it just, I'll look back on it and be like, oh, that was a great game. But I won't look back on it like I look back on Journey, or like I will with Celeste. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's fair.
It's just not on that level because it is very, for me, it is very, there's no depth to it.
Okay.
It's the emotion it wants you to feel is the emotion you feel.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
For me.
But that's fair though. I mean, I wouldn't.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just
exactly.
Like that's not a disparagement. That's a personal preference thing.
Yeah.
Like some people will play this game and say this is my favorite game ever because they're like, it just hit me right. All the things it was doing, it nailed, and I can't argue that.
Like I love that. Like seriously, I put that top 10 of the year. Having said that, because of the reasons we stated before, it's not like first tier.
Right.
But I definitely say it's second tier, and that's still a Hall of Fame game.
It's not bad.
You know what I mean? Like that's still
well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Now, the thing that was interesting to me is another game came out the day after, actually, Gris. So Gris came out on a Thursday, the 13th. Below came out Friday, the 14th. And Below, it has been... So this game was announced. It's by Capybara Games. They made Super Time Force and Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery. Have you ever played that?
Can't say
that game is awesome. That was like one of the original like indie darling games. Like in 2000,
like Cave Story, like
yeah. Like, but it was like around the time of like Limbo and Braid, stuff like that. It was one of those, and this game was announced during the launch event. Not the launch event, actually, the announcement event for the Xbox One in 2013. It was announced and showed gameplay in 2013.
5 years ago.
Yeah,
that's a 5 year.
And everyone that saw this was like, holy shit, this game looks awesome. Because it is such a visually striking game where you're this tiny little character, isometric view, and you're walking through these crazy hollow caves and stuff. So Below finally came out. And this is a game that... So this game as well, free on Game Pass. 3 of these games that we talked about just now are free with Game Pass. I think it's $25 without it. Only on Xbox One and Windows.
So between those 3 games,
it was on Steam.
The price of those 3 games alone is the price of Game Pass.
No doubt.
You know?
Yeah, it's amazing. So I will say, Below has totally blown me away.
It's that good. Worth the wait.
It has totally blown me away. And this is a game that is not for everybody. This is a game that some people are going to hate, and they're going to think it's tedious, and they're going to think it's annoying. I am in love with this game. It has blown me away. And I think that is partially why Gris didn't have anything for me. Because this game is full of mysteries and depth and insane shit that goes on that you just don't expect to happen. It's fucking awesome. This game is incredible. I love Below. It is... Now I'll give you the pitch on the game. So, opening scene is this... It's a ship about this fucking big on your screen. You can't even tell what it is at first. And it's just going. And then the camera slowly pans. It's literally a 5-minute scene. And it is awesome. It is so good because of music and the slow pan in on the ship in this dark water. You see the little trickle behind you, like shadow play. Like the lighting in this game is insane. And you get to the beach, land your boat, jump out, and you're this tiny guy on the screen. You have a sword and shield, and you have a bow. Very much like the original Zelda, except fucking your guy's tiny on the screen. Like in Zelda, you're maybe like a 20th of the screen. In this, you're like a 1/100th. Like you're tiny.
Jesus.
And it plays so much into the style, and I cannot wait to play the soundtrack for you guys because we're thinking about doing some Game of the Year or like Best of the Year segments. This soundtrack, man, holy shit, it is so good. But so the game is, you start out like that. They literally tell you nothing. This game does not tutorialize a goddamn thing ever. Like, tells you nothing about the world. Tells you nothing about what you're supposed to do.
Love it. Grow up.
Yeah. So you walk around. You see little flashing things. You go over. You pull out like a turnip out of the ground. Right. Okay. Go over. There's like a fish. Grab a fish. Okay. Look at your inventory. You hit a button. Oh, I guess I have an inventory. You have crafting, and you have very much in the Breath of the Wild style. You have a hunger and so there's a health meter. That's a heart. That's always visible. Mm-hmm. And then there's hunger, thirst, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. Hunger and thirst. And what you do is, when you sit by a fire, you can cook things. So you start with one bottle that's full of water. You add the water to the turnip and the fish you just got, and you made soup. Now, the soup, you can only tell what it does based on the little iconography on the little bottle. Now, it's like a little half heart, and you're like, all right, maybe it heals me half. I don't know what it is. And then you're like, okay, so you're doing everything trial by error, because when you get into this game, you climb up this mountain, and all the animation is like super slow and deliberate. And I'm telling you, this is gonna piss some people off. Some people that don't like this kind of shit, that don't like the tone setting, the mood, like, they're gonna be like, holy shit, like, just get me to where I'm going. But like him climbing the little mountain like this, like, I'm like, oh, it's so good. You get to the top, and there's a lantern, in like surrounded by these 4 like obelisks, and you're like, oh, this is really weird looking. You grab the lantern and press LB, turns on, press LB, it turns off. And then you see there's a counter in the top right. And it went from 10 to 9. So you're like, okay, I guess I have a certain amount. I don't really know how this works. Oil. When you have the lantern on, as you're walking past the obelisks, there's these like tracks in the ground, it looks like. It's like blue, like streaks of light. And it looks almost like technology, kind of. But this is clearly like sword and shield. You came in on a boat with big sails, like, it's not like modern day, you know, like whatever. So it's very, right away, that's what I'm telling you. Like, the mysteries in this game are what makes it so interesting. So you go into the cave, and that's where the real game opens up. That place where you were is kind of like a hub world. You go into the cave, and it pops up. It just has 1 with like 2 big lines across from it, like a chapter title. Mm-hmm. And so the cave, complete darkness. Turn on your lantern, obviously you can see a little bit. There are little enemies that are like little red dots that will like jump at you. You have a dodge button, you have a shield, sword. You use your right stick to like aim where you are. So it's like almost like a twin stick game. So you're like aiming your shield, like turning, and then swinging your sword, like whatever. Feels really good to play. Then what happens is, ultimately, you run into a spike or something happens, you die. Cuts to guy coming in on a ship. Another guy, right? So you're like, huh. You pull up your inventory. There's a little symbol right above it that says, it shows like a skull. And it's like an arrow flashing down. And then it shows like a little other symbol that you learn is your lantern. And it shows the symbol down. So you have to go to that area, recollect.
Find the dead body.
Find the dead body. You can get everything that was on that person's inventory. They're like a skeleton. Like, it's been a while. And then pick up the lantern.
Oh, so it's like Rogue Legacy. Where like
so it is, but the dungeon itself, most of the rooms are the same rooms, but the layouts are different. So you might find that room that you were dead in, but it's in a different spot or something.
Gotcha.
Like, you have to follow that little compass at the top that shows down, down, whatever. And some of this stuff in this game, man, I'm telling you, like, learning, like, the first time I shone my light on, like, I thought this was just a dead end or something, and I shined my light, and this thing popped up on the wall, and it, like, opened up, and it was like a secret, like, but it doesn't say anything. It doesn't tell you anything. It's so fucking cool. I went to this crazy area that I've never been to before, and all of a sudden I was on like floor 21 or something, and I'd only been to floor 4. And I was like, well, what's going on? Like, freaking out. And so I'm like trying to get to, like, because a lot of this game is based on, all right, you do a floor or 2, and then you find the secret area where now there's a shortcut that leads you back up to the hub world. So next time your guy comes, you can just jump right into that shortcut you just opened up, and you're right back where you were.
Have you had any trouble finding the dead character?
So this is what I was going to say. So when I got to level 21 on that, I haven't been back, and my lantern's down there.
Oh.
So what I've had to do is craft torches by getting a stick and an ember, and yeah. So I'm crafting torches, and they're much more limited. Now the things, when you kill an enemy, you know how I said the ticker tick down when you turn on your lantern?
Yeah.
So when you kill an enemy, these little glowy bits come out. And if you collect it, it puts that number up. And that's like how many uses of your torch you have. But the things themselves are light sources independently.
Okay.
So when you don't have a lantern, if you kill an enemy and their glowy thing is on the ground, you can see more. Okay. So you can be like, I'm going to leave that there.
Yeah.
Or what you can do is you can pick them up and put them down in the ground.
Somewhere.
Yes.
Else.
Like you can hit down on the D-pad and you like plant
it. It's like its own tiny little lantern.
Yes,
sort of.
exactly.
That's cool.
It's so fucking cool. And so I still haven't had my lantern. It's been like 5 runs and I haven't had my lantern. And I'm like, it's just so far down. Because what I ran into was like a boss character that I didn't even know bosses were in this game. And I just stumbled into this room. I was like, what's going on? And he just murdered me. And I'm like, well, great.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is just so fucking cool. It just has everything around it. The art style, the music, everything around it is amazing to begin with. And then you add in these mysteries and just like trying to figure out what's going on in this place. And I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's awesome, man. That's good to hear.
I really, really love it. And in a December of games that I really like this is the best of the bunch. Yeah. Which is crazy because I really like Mutant Year Zero and Ash, and Gris is great too. It's like,
I think you hate Gris. I mean, it's fine. But
I do not hate Gris. I like Gris quite a bit. But yeah, Below, man, I know there's no way you guys are going to be able to try it before Game of the Year, but you know, you don't even have an Xbox. No. But fuck, it's so good.
That's
cool,
man.
Is so good. And I'm just so excited to just get back in and just see what else there is to find.
Awesome, man.
Because I'll just give you one example of like something. So you come across this area and the game, like I said, it never tells you anything. So you come to this door that's like covered in vines. So initially you're like, all right, I could probably burn it with a torch or something. Not working. If you craft, so what happens is when you craft, you put 3 items together, it'll like show a little icon of what it's gonna make. You can't fucking tell what it is. Half the time it's pixelated. You're like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but I'll make it. So I made a fire arrow by accident. And I'm like, oh, I wonder, you know, they didn't say anything. I shoot it, it burns. I go in, there's a secret thing over there. Fucking awesome. Later on, I go, so you find keys on the floor. They're like little squares. And then you pick them up and bring them to a door that has the same symbol, and you unlock it, and usually it leads to the next floor, right? So I found a door when I was down. I was like floor 19 or whatever, and I was really far, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going. And I found one of those doors that looked like it needed a key. And I searched the whole area. I'm like, I can't find the fucking key. And I just shine my light like around, and there's this little thing out like where you can't stand. There's this little like pillar with like a little circle on it, and I shoot it with an arrow, and the door fucking opens. You know what I mean? It makes it feel like these sound like such simple, like, all right, it's a video game, of course this shit happens, but
when it's not laid out for you, you know, like
it's been so long since I've seen something like this, where it gives you that feeling of like when you play these games for the first time and you're just it's Breath of the Wild. It's Breath of the Wild. Yeah. This is the and like I said, the hunger meter, the thirst meter, it's gonna turn people off. People aren't gonna like that. I like it. I liked it in Zelda. I like it.
They had that in the first Dark Cloud, and I remember it's just like, and it's still with the cave going down to however many levels, you know. They
made something really special here, and I, you know, like I said, this is not a game for everybody, but if it is a game for you, you are gonna fucking love it. Like, it is such an amazing, amazing experience.
I'm excited to see where that lands on your list of.
Me too. All right, so I think that's gonna do it for the episode. Just another reminder: we're gonna be doing Game of the Year next week instead of 2 weeks like we have been. So a little New Year's Eve gift, game of the year.
Just for you guys.
Just for you guys. We also, I briefly mentioned, we have some plans for, we might do the episode after game of the year. We might do like some topics, like some smaller awards like best soundtrack, best whatever. So we'll see about that. No guarantees, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. And we're also going to put out our top 10 videos. Each of us is going to do a top 10 independently, and we're going to make a little video with us talking over it. So it should be pretty cool. Keep posted to YouTube for that stuff, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time for Game of the Year.
Awesome.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching and or listening. Just here to remind you that you can find us by searching for Circleback Podcast or Circleback Gaming on any of these podcast services: Anchor, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, or Stitcher. By God, I'm out of breath because of all these podcast services, but you can find us anywhere there. Also, you can find our video version on YouTube by searching Circleback Podcast or Circleback Gaming, and the rest of the videos we do. Thanks, guys.